All right, doing a podcast for the first time. Someone Instagrammed me and wanted me to be on a show, so I said, yeah, sure. Hello,
Mic check 1 2, Mr. Robinson.
how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Ignorant Intelligent Podcast. We got you here live. I know you was having some difficulties, but it's all good.
Okay, okay,
Can you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, to introduce your business, and we're going to jump right into it.
okay. Nissan Robinson, the real estate expert. I'm the broker and owner of Reach Realty Group, located here in Michigan in the Metro Detroit
Okay.
area. We're a top 10 selling brokerage of real estate property. I'm the author of Save Room for Real Estate, a guide to making millions in the real estate industry. I own a nonprofit, the Gentleman Club, giving back to inner city boys, who are fatherless childs and people who just need more guidance.
Wow, that's incredible, sir. But before I jump into asking about the real estate, can you just dwell deeper into the nonprofit? Because coming from the inner city as well, I'm born and raised here in Detroit as well. Can you just talk about getting to that position of affluence and then coming back to the city and coming back to these young men and showing them that it's another way to lead, another way to think, and another way to be in terms of a career and just overall being a man's man?
Absolutely. Well, I feel like it's your obligation if you come from poverty and you are successful as a minority, especially African American, especially African American man, to go back and help because, a lot of us don't get to see positive role models. So we are going to, not by nature and by law, we're going to, try to do what we see. So if we see a successful person with a nice car, we don't care how they got the nice car, the nice clothes, nice house. We gonna want to, emulate what they do. So if he's a drug dealer, we're gonna want to sell drugs, because we want these nice things. But if you can see someone with the same nice things and they tell you, oh no, I'm a real estate broker, I flip houses, I wholesale houses, I'm a realtor, dealing with real estate, some form, and say, oh, well, that's what I want to do, because people just don't really get to see that. A lot of times we stay to ourselves. Once we successful, we
Yes.
don't go back to help, and so it's a me thing, I got mine, you figure out the way I figured out.
Yeah,
So
and I think personally, just speaking for the youth, I'm 26 now, but just speaking for the youth and getting into mentorship myself, I think a lot of people just try to hide. They try to hide the success. They try to hide uh, what their career path is from the kids. And I don't know why, because if anything, it'll instill confidence and reassurance in the kids.
absolutely, absolutely, I totally agree.
And what inspired you to start the nonprofit and to help these young men out and help them see the vision?
Well, what inspired me, to be honest with you, when I realized I was a millionaire, when I talked to financial experts and started, when you get money, you go into a different realm of, you get financial, advisors and different things like that, and they break down your
Okay.
funds, your assets, your houses, and I always thought to be a millionaire, you have to have $1 million in cash, you know. So I just thought, like about 3.5 years ago, if I didn't have $1 million in cash, I wasn't a millionaire. Forget all the houses I own, forget the cash I got in my bank account, forget what's my
All the
company.
equity and assets.
Exactly. I just, when you know better, you do better. I didn't know, to be honest with you. I just felt I need $1 million to be called a millionaire. And then after talking to financial analysts and people sitting me down saying, you own 6 houses, okay, how much they worth? Okay, how much equity you own? I own this. You own Reach Realty Group. How much did y'all make over the last 3 years of profit? I tell you, oh, well, and they say, all right, so your net worth is, we got you at this. I'm like, wow. Wow, you serious? And I'm like, yeah.
Right.
And because if you wanted to, you could go sell your company for this amount. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. If you so wanted to, you go sell them houses. They rent a property, giving you passive income. But if you want to, you could sell them and get this. And just added everything. That's when I truly found out how you get a net worth. And I think a lot of people don't understand how net worth really run. They see people say, oh, Puff Daddy's worth 700 million, and you think he got $700 million in his bank account. That's not how it works. How it works is if he sold off everything he owned. every shoe, every belt, every dish, every business, everything here, every stock, every bond, every real estate, and you take that number, then you deduct all the liabilities he have, whatever number's left, that's his net worth. And I said, oh, that's the way it works. So that's when I got to learning how you calculate people net worth. And I think, especially in the urban areas, I think a lot of people believe when they hear, these people net worth, and they say, oh, Jay-Z's worth 900 million. You think he got $900 million sitting in his bank account? Liquid. It's not liquid. That's his net worth. Jay-Z might only have $100 million in the bank, but be worth 900. It's like, but why sell off all these things if they're making him more money? Your money, be honest with you, having liquid money is really not good. Because you only get.
About that because our people are so like I like where you're going with this conversation so far because a lot of our people are financially literate. We already didn't get the financial literacy at home. We already didn't get the financial literacy in our 12 years of public school education. And then when we graduate, we still get into the collegiate realm and still are misguided when it comes to financial principles, financial goals, and financial literacy as well. If our parents didn't educate us and our school systems didn't educate us, then yes, we look at the Puffs, the Jay-Z's, we look at the guy on the street, we look at that as real value when in actuality, the value was in that knowledge that you just spewed, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I just really felt like, man, not enough of our people, because number one, I think a lot of our people are just visual learners and have a visual concept
Very
and want
true.
to manifest that. When it comes to manifestation, you have to see things and get a concept of certain realities in order to manifest your own reality, right? If you see the guy with the nice car and a beautiful wife driving and he's in a big house, you know, you see that and you want to emulate that. You want that. You aspire to that. But if you never seen that in your home, you never seen that in your family, it almost seems like it's not even attainable. So
True.
when you talk about your upbringing a little bit and the adversity you face to get to where you are now in terms of responsibility, not only financial literacy, but just having some kind of moral principle and value towards your life now, knowing where you came from.
Okay. Well, I was raised on Detroit East Side in the 48205 zip code. And if anyone wants to know about a bad area, just Google the 48205 and see what comes up. And that's why I was raised. I'll leave it at that.
Right.
But I was raised, like I say, a single mom, fatherless child. And, the typical, ghetto stories, I can say them all. I've came home and the lights was out. I came home and, water was off. I've had, shoes where the sock didn't came out the bottom because it was holes in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can relate to poverty. Like every level of poverty I can relate to. Now, I'm pretty sure some had it even worse than me. And compared to their stories, I was living a life of luxury. But, some people never know how it feels to come home and your power is out. And they cut it off because y'all can pay the bill. People don't know how to come home, it's no water because y'all couldn't pay the bill. I remember we got to a point a couple of times we'd get used to the waterman coming to turn off the water. He get to turn it. We filling up pots and pans of water. You know what I'm saying? Because he about to turn off, so we got some drinking water. So I went through that. I went through the dilapidated schools where ran down and it pretty much is a pipeline from school to prison. He teaching you more to go how to prison and not to go into the working world. And so
School to high school, definitely.
Exactly. So them was the schools I went to all the way up until my sophomore year in high school. After my sophomore year in high school, my mom ended up going back to school and becoming a nurse. And from a nurse, she became a nurse anesthetist, making good money. And I was the youngest of all the four, of my mom's children. So when she started to make good money, she was able to say, okay, great, I could pull you out of this school that was at the time it's no longer exists, but it was Finney High School for those who've been around Detroit. It was Finney High School. They tore it down. So she took me out of there, and I ended up going to Grosse Pointe North. She rented an apartment, in the district, so I could go to that school. And I'm talking about night and day. This was the biggest transitional period in my life, because that's when I actually seen people with wealth. With wealth, I was going to school with kids, parents who own, businesses. People who own stocks and bonds. I remember someone said my dad owns, 1% of Coca Cola. So just imagine that, And I end up going to exactly, and imagine going to their home on Lakeshore Drive.
This
Anyone?
is back in the day.
Yeah, this is like 96, 97, 98, and 99. Them 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And so and I ended up playing basketball, and so this what allowed me to go to their homes because we was on a basketball team, and we did like team dinners, and so I went into like a mega mansion off Lakeshore Drive. Anyone in Michigan know, in Grosse Pointe is one of the most prestigious suburbs,
Yes,
and
well, that's a beautiful district. Period. I don't
period.
care from homes to schools to businesses, restaurants. That is like one of the most prestige areas for sure, for sure.
Exactly, and out of Grosse Pointe, one of the most prestigious areas is Lakeshore Drive. That's right off the water, and so I mean, I got to see money for the first time. I'd never seen it. To me, before then, money was the dude with the cutlass on 20s. You know what I'm saying? A dude had a cutlass, candy painted, on 20s. That was money to me. Then I got to see a house, that looked like all the houses on the whole block. If you put them all together, this is the one house, and like an 8-car garage and just stuff like just wowed me. Like, wow, people actually live like this. So I got to put that in my universe, and so that what made me want more. And then I started to understand, the school system, how it was night and day from where I came from, how really important school was. And so from that day, I never really took school really serious, but I started to take school very serious. Give a quick rundown. When I was in Finney,
Take your time, my man. Go ahead.
yeah, when I was in Finney, I was getting terrible grades. I mean, like 0.4, 0.8. Then after this shows you how you're a product of your environment. Cause I was around a lot of knuckleheads, and we really was trying to survive. To be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? Cause you're around the gang bangers, you're around all this, stuff. We gotta be a tough guy. If not, you pray. They're gonna be stealing your shoes and stuff like that.
Definitely.
So
Florida jackets and all.
exactly. So you had to show you was a tough guy, so people wouldn't try you. And then in the process showing you was a tough guy, you wasn't going to class. So while I was taken out of that environment and put in an environment where you didn't have to be a tough guy, you just had to turn in your homework. So I said, wow, I can actually learn. And the 3 years I was there, every year you get 4 card markings. So that's 4 8 12. That's 12 card markers. I do 12 card markers. It was only two that I didn't have a 3.0 average or higher, where I didn't make honor roll. So that's I could testify that you are a product of your environment. When I was in an environment where it was terrible, and a lot of things and circumstances was presented to me, I didn't excel in school. When I was put in a school, and this was a school, keep in mind, one of the top ranking schools in Michigan, so academically wise, it was challenging. I stayed on honor roll pretty much the whole time I was there. I ended up being on the basketball team, becoming the basketball captain, and basketball took me off to college. Because I initially went off to college. I never thought about going to college, to be honest with you. Never thought about going to college. It was when I played basketball, I started to get good. It was like, oh, this is what you do. The next level was college. So that's how I even went to college. So after I graduated high school, I went to UOD to play basketball. It didn't.
They still nice too, by the way.
Yeah, they are. It didn't work out after my freshman year, because that's when I realized when you go to play college basketball, the politics involved is so real, because these head coaches is making six figures and millions of dollars. So it's all politics involved, because these guys want to secure their job. So it was too much for me. So I pretty much, be honest with you, I let basketball go after my freshman year, and I transferred from there to Eastern Michigan. Originally, I transferred to Eastern to play basketball, to tell you the truth, but it didn't work out there. So I just literally gave it up. But I didn't give up school. And so I stayed there, and I ended up finishing out, my bachelor's there, and I got my bachelor's in communications and business marketing. And so that's where I got my bachelor's degree. When I came out of there, I came back home, and I got a job as a manager at Rent Center. And it was great. I appreciate the opportunity that they gave me, but it just wasn't for me. And so I end up being introduced to real estate by my sister, my older sister. This is in my book. she introduced the whole family to real estate. She started buying rental property. And I didn't know really about real estate at all, to be honest with you. And she said she got to a point she had about 12, 14 properties. And she knew I didn't like the job I had. And she said, hey, I'm looking for a property manager. You could come property manage for me. I could pay you. I'm like, oh, wow, say no more. You know what I'm saying? And I left, rental center, and I started property managing for her. And that's when I started to learn real estate. And I did that for about 6 years before I said, wow, I think this real estate, I really want to jump into it. So I started doing my research. And this is when this was literally my testimonial day, the day where things really say, okay, I'm about to do real estate. It's when I learned 80% of the world's millionaires got their funds out of real estate in some form or fashion. And I scratched my head. I said, hold on, 80%. And I said, hold on. So you mean tell me that 20% is the NBA players, the NFL players, the baseball, the hockey, the actors, the singers, everybody else falls into that 20%. And everybody else fall into the 80% is real estate. I said, oh no, I'm about to submerge myself into real estate. And so that's what I did. So I ended up going to real estate school to become a realtor. And I said, okay, I want to own a real estate company. And so when I was in real estate school, I learned that you got to be a realtor for 3 years, sell a certain amount of houses. And after you sell a certain amount of houses, you after 3 years being full time, you could go back to real estate school and go to broker school. After you pass broker school, you could be a real estate broker. You could open up your own real estate company. So I did just that. I got my real estate license, went and worked for a real estate brokerage, and I went and I interviewed with three brokerages. When I interviewed with two of them, I interviewed with the office manager. When I interviewed with one out of the three, I interviewed with the actual broker and owner. And so the two, ironically, they offered me a bigger commission split, than it was. I interviewed with Century 21, Keller Williams, and Traditional Realty. Everybody, well, majority of people who know real estate would know the commercial names of a Century 21, of Keller Williams, yeah, exactly. But no one really know who Traditional Realty was. I didn't know who they was. But what I was thinking that the end in mind. So Century 21, Keller Williams both offered me a 7-30 split with me getting 70% of every deal I get. Traditional Realty offered me 50-50. Every deal they taking 50%, I get 50%. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Why are you trying to take more money? But I thought about the end in mind, not the upfront. So I went back and I asked the broker. I said, okay, I'll come aboard here, but this is what I want to do. In 3 years, I want to actually open up my own real estate company. So I want you to mentor me, not as a realtor, but as a real estate broker. And I want you to have an open door policy with me where I could come and ask you any questions that, you're doing, like, okay, Michelle, what you doing right now? Michelle, how did you resolve the issue? Michelle, how do you balance your books? So everything with the broker. And he agreed. So I took the pay cut and I went to Traditional Realty. And an average agent sells in a first year literally 2 to maybe 3 houses. I sold 23 my first year.
Wow.
Yeah. The average agent. No, this is as a realtor, just as a realtor. This is during my realtor years. The average when a realtor get their license the first year, the average between 2 or 3 sales their first year. I did 23. The average sales of a realtor period is 8 to 10 in a year. So think that in mind. That's regular. After you have years in your experience, they only doing 8 to 10. I did 23 my first year. After my first year, my second year, I did over 40. And every year since then, I have sold over 45 houses a year myself. So after my 3 years, I said, okay, it's time to go to broker school. So I went to enroll in broker school, and broker school was challenging, to be honest with you. Here it is. I got a college degree. I didn't went to college and got a degree, and I wouldn't say I had a couple of challenging classes, I would say, but by far, broker school was the most challenging. They make it so you got to know real estate forward, backwards, sideways, ups and down, all around. You got to know your stuff because you about to be having people working for you, and people gonna be coming asking you these questions. You got to know how to answer them. You got to know how to, tell people what they can and what they can't do. So I end up passing my broker school, and I said, okay, it's time to get it. I started my company, and the end of 2013. Like the October, November 2013, and opened up. I went and got a brick and mortar, actual place, in January of 2014. So that's when I really credit the launch of Reach Realty Group is, January 2014. And when I first started off, I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a couple of months where it didn't go so well. I never questioned myself if that's something I should be doing, but I just looked and said, oh man, this ain't for the faint of heart. Just restarting a company. You you got to be prepared for some bad times because when you run a business and you go and get a brick and mortar business, you got all these bills. And one thing about it, bills, they don't care if you had a great month, they don't care if you had an okay month, they don't care if you had a bad month. They're like, I don't care. Pay me your rent due. You had a good month, great. Your light bill due. You had a bad month, who cares? Your gas bill due, your insurance on the building due, paper and ink, like just so many bills you have, and they do not care nothing about your numbers. But luckily, I was blessed to have two of my closest friends. One transfer was a realtor transfer from Tradition Realty with me to start and launch the company, and another one, I actually told him to go to real estate school and get his license. So essentially, us three was the catalyst for getting the company started and moving. And through the years, more and more people joined the company, and now it's like 14 of us, at Reach Realty Group, and so I just essentially doubled myself. I taught both of my good friends exactly what I did to sell 40 plus houses a year. And I doubled myself in. My one buddy started selling 40 plus houses, then my other buddy started selling 40 plus houses. Then the agents come in, I started to teach them what I did. And they started to sell, 30 plus houses. And people started to take notice like, hey, these guys selling a lot of houses to be so small. And more people started to come aboard. But I was selective who I brought on because it had to be people I thought could understand what I was doing, had the hustle and a drive to do it, because it's nothing it's nothing easy. You just got to be a hustler and want to hustle the right way. And so God blessed me and gave me really good people. And, we end up getting into the top 10 in 2016. 2016, no, actually 2017, excuse me. 2017, we broke into the top 10, and we was ranked with homes sold that year. When the year was over, we finished 7th in the top 10, and we was the smallest brokerage in the top 10 and the only minority broker in the top 10 as well. then then 2018 we went down from 7 to 6, you know. And so now this year we're looking at crack and be in the top 5. And we're still the smallest brokerage in the top 10 and still the only minority brokerage in the top 10, you know.
Yeah, and what you mentioned earlier, something that's very important when it comes to not only business, but with me when it comes to life. And I spoke about this recently. I'm one of those guys just cut from a different cloth in terms of how I was raised. So if I do any kind of business or want to go into any business or just need mentorship or guidance, I want to build a relationship with you first. I need to know what you're about. I need to know what you stand for. I need to know, like you just mentioned, what is your hustle like? What is your beginning, middle, and end game on the basis of our relationship dynamic? Is it strictly business or, I need to know what your hobbies are. I need to know who you are as a person all the way around, right? Because you don't want to bring nobody into your company like you have if they're not focused. They're not dedicated. They don't have a goal. They just want the money or they see an opportunity because you're a minority and it's like a lookout thing. It's like, no. We're building legacy. We're building something, to pass down to our family. So I need the people who I'm around or who's around me to be driven, to be focused, to be dedicated to something more than just a check. So I think that's very important what you just said, man, because not a lot of people be selective about who they have around them, not only in business, but in life. And you just got 14 to 15 people with you, and you guys are focused. You stayed strong. You stayed with the process. You had people who were willing to listen, and trusted you and didn't look at you like, oh, it's just another black guy. Or, just try to put in half the work or half the effort because you are who you are. Because I know my people can be like that sometimes.
Correct.
You know.
Correct.
So let's go ahead and dwell into these questions. You know, can you go ahead and talk about renting versus owning, renting a home versus having actual home ownership?
Okay. Well, home ownership is the key to financial wealth, to be honest with you. Because when you own a home, if you can own a home, and when I say own a home, your whole goal should always be to own a home outright, meaning you don't have no mortgage on it, and no, it's no land contract where someone still has a lien on your property, where the only thing you have to pay for is the taxes on the home, the yearly taxes. Because once you do that, what you can do is you can keep your mental as if you still paying a mortgage. If you know, and you can take every month that same $800 to $3,000 you're paying, whatever amount that you was paying to the mortgage company or your landlord, you can put that in a bank account to the side, and you look up. If let's just say let's use an easy number, say 1,000. If you did that for a year, you got 12,000 off to the side. 2 years go by, you look, you got 24,000. You can take that 24,000 and go buy another house and rent that house out now. You keep doing the same thing in a year. Now you got another thousand that you've been saving, acting like you paying rent is 12,000, but you that rental property, they was paying you 1,000 too, so you just double. So now your 12 is 24,000 in a year instead of two. So because you got a rental property paying you 1,000. So now that 24,000 that took you 2 years to go buy a rental property, now you could do that in 1 year, and you go buy another one the next year. Now you got three of them. You still paying yourself, acting like you're paying a mortgage, and you got your one rental property paying you 1,000. You got another rental property paying 1,000. Now you got $36,000 in a year. Now you could go buy two rental properties and save 12, and then now you got four. And in that amount of time, you if you could get where I'm going with it, you keep exactly the numbers keep doubling, and in short amount of time, you're able to do more. Short amount of time, you're able to do more and more. You look up, you got 10 houses, and you own all these houses outright, and you look up, the market then went up in that same 8 years. When you was buying them when it was low. 'Cause the market always go high and always go low. Typically every 8 to 12 years the market fluctuate. It go up and down every 8 to 12 years. So during that process, hopefully you got in when it was low. Now it's high. You go and get a realtor if you're not a realtor, and you ask, what can I get for these 10 properties? And your realtor looking at you like, I could sell this one for 80. I could sell this one for 120. This area really went up. I could get you 200 for that one. I could get you 50 for this one. And you do the math, and you looking like, oh my God, sheesh.
You almost hit a meal just off. Let me tell you something, man. That's so important what you said, right? Or in between everything, it's time, right? A lot
Yep.
of people don't have a concept that of patience. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You really have to stay patient in order for anything to be successful. And our people, I don't care if it's any business or life in general, think everything is supposed to come overnight, or they're skeptical of a business if the profit don't turn out in a year or two. Like these kind of things, in order to build leverage, in order to build equity, and whatever asset you have, it takes time. And that goes back to what I was talking on earlier. This isn't just about you. This is the longevity of your real estate properties and your withholdings in order to give it to somebody else, and then you give them the knowledge along with the estate. You know?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
man. Like
I,
it's a
I
lot of game right now, man, because not a lot of people don't even know the difference, between how to own a home. A lot of our parents or generations really never owned homes for real, or was never really taught real estate. Period. How to buy a house. What do you need to buy a house? The intangibles, the steps. So can you go ahead and just talk about having a land contract versus a lease wealth option?
okay. Well, a land contract is a mortgage. A land contract is a mortgage. But instead of you going and getting a mortgage from, say, your bank or your credit union or Quicken Loans, a lender like that, the seller's actually giving you the mortgage. The seller is saying, okay, I'll finance you. Put this amount down and pay this amount over these years, and it's yours. But if you don't pay that amount, you renege. The homeowner comes, the previous owner who's financing you, he foreclosed on you just like any other mortgage company. So a lot of people don't understand that a land contract is a mortgage. You still have a mortgage. It's just instead of your a person that you or entity, that you're paying is a lending institution, like a Comerica Bank, a Bank of America, Wells
Okay.
Fargo. It's just the owner. The owner. That's who's banking you. But you still own the home. You still own the home. That's the good thing. You still home. You still in the process of getting to home ownership, and that's still good because you ultimately your whole end game is to get where you own one home outright. So if you buy that one home on land contract, and let's say the land contract is for 5 years, after 5 years you own that home outright. That's good because now you can then over the next 2 years do what I say, act like you still paying that mortgage and save that money to go buy another one where you rent it out. Then that cycle happens. The worst thing you could do is be a renter, and the reason why is this: I had when I was property managing, one of the properties I was managing, for my sister, the lady moved in 2008, 2008, and she rented that house. She was paying $800 a month. She
Okay.
she
Wow.
she lived. She just moved out of that house last year. She lived in the house 10 years, and this in particular house, my sister paid 35,000 for it. My sister ended up selling the house last year as well, and the tenant moved out. Now she paid 800 a month. 800 times 10 is 8,000, so that's 9,600 bucks. So run off to say easy numbers. Let's just say it's $10,000 a year my sister made. My sister made $100,000 off that tenant for the 10 years she was there. That tenant bought that house. My sister paid 35,000. That tenant bought that house for my sister 3 times over. And that tenant, when it was all said and done, had to pack up her bags and move out and leave that house and didn't have not a dime of equity into it. My sister made 100 grand off the house, and then the market went up. She turned around and sold the house for 60 grand. Do you see why being a renter is the worst thing you could do?
Yes, sir. Listening to you. This information is. I got you on a platform because I'm part of that millennial age demographic, and a lot of us, are getting to those ages where we are buying homes, or we are interested into buying homes instead of, the apartments or renting out a house, or, a lot of people, due to the economy and how things are, staying with their parents, so they're trying to figure their budgets out in order to buy. Um, could you just talk about the importance of young people investing in home ownership versus investing in, you know, anything leisure or expenses that don't really matter, that don't bring you any kind of equity in general, specifically speaking on just the young folks.
Okay. Well, for young folks, what they gotta do, and I'm gonna speak overall for young folks. What they have to do is understand that you want to purchase assets, not liabilities. And easiest way to know an asset from a liability is assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. Real simple. So, a lot of times, being young, you want to buy a lot of liabilities because that's the cool thing to do. Go buy the new Jordans. That's a liability. It took money out of your pocket. It's not. It's no way them Jordans gonna put money in your pocket unless you are a sneaker flipper and you buying sneakers and going to sneaker conventions and you buying them for 200 bucks, some for 350. You could turn that now into an asset. But outside of that, just buying some new Jordans and say, oh, you know what I mean, J's, I got all the newest J. You're buying a lot of liabilities. They're not making you no money. They just depreciating every time you wear them. You want to go buy something that's going to appreciate in value, something that can make you money. Go buy you a gumball machine. Go buy your gumball machine. Go into a barber shop and ask the barber, "Hey, you mind if I sit this all here off in the corner?" I guarantee you, some barber shop owners gonna say no, but you gonna find that one and say, I don't mind. And you go and you fill up with gumballs, and you once a month you go and get your quarters out and you refill it. You're gonna look, you're making money. That gumball machine that you bought that cost you 3 pairs of Jordans now is an asset making you money, put money in your pocket, not taking it out. So you can be a entrepreneur on a lot of levels. A lot of people think you need $1 million, 100,000, 50,000,
Yeah,
10,000
misconceptions.
exactly to be an entrepreneur. You don't. You could go buy a gumball machine literally for 300 bucks, and you'll be an entrepreneur. Take that gumball machine, go sit it in a beauty salon, a barber shop. and you're an entrepreneur now. Every month you go fill up with gumballs, take the quarters out, you're making money. And on top of that, you are making what you call passive income. The if you're not making passive income, it's like 99%, that you're not going to get rich because you fall into the category of inheritance or a lawsuit or a lottery to become a millionaire. The only way you could get to becoming a millionaire is having passive income. You got to be able to make money in your sleep. If you're not making money in your sleep, the odds of you becoming a millionaire is so against you. If you have to always be physically present somewhere to make your money, the odds of you becoming a millionaire is slim to none. You got to be able to be sleeping and making money. When you go to bed, you're worth this amount, and when you wake up, you're worth more. And ways to do that is have passive income. That gumball machine is passive income because he's not at that barber shop when people put a quarter in and twist it and get a gumball, but he's just making money off every time someone did that. So guess what? When he's sleeping, he's still making money. He could go home and take a nap. But guess what? And during that time he took a nap, four people bought gumballs. His net worth is higher than when he before he went to bed. And it's other ways like when you get to a higher level, and that's being a landlord. When you're a landlord, you gotta understand. Let's just say tenant pays you $1,000 a month. You break $1,000 down to how much that is a day. Then you break down how much that is an hour. Then you break down how much that is a minute. Then you may break down how much that is a second. You literally every second are being worth more money. This conversation when you have, from the moment I started this conversation when I hang up, my net worth is going to be higher than when we started. Because I own real estate rentals. You see what I'm saying? I own a real estate company. So right now, every second I'm talking, my net worth is going up higher and higher. It's going up higher and higher. I have passive income. So you want to get to where you have as many passive incomes as possible. You see what I'm saying? If you own a company and you have people that work for you, you're still making money because on your off day, your company still got people working. You're making money. You're still making money. So you're making money in your sleep. So when you have a gumball machine, like I said, you still making money. It's a lot of ways you can still make money, but you have to find ways to make money while you not being present. Like, okay, for example, you can literally start an online business and have a link with a whole distributor where it's what they call a print on demand. Where you can make something, t-shirts, and you sell them, and you connect it to a company who actually could print them out and put your design on them, and they won't make not one of them until the order's purchased. So you sleeping and somebody online, oh, I like this t-shirt and this brand, I buy one, and they get the order, they take the money, they print out the t-shirts and ship them to the person and give you a percentage of that. You're making money in your sleep now. Now, you're getting passive income. And all you need is one of them passive income to really take off, and you're a millionaire. And the more of those you have, the more opportunities you put yourself in for one of them to take off, and you become a millionaire, or for all of them to do really good, and you add them all together, and you're a millionaire. But you gotta buy passive incomes, things that's going to put money in your pocket, and you need to be making money while you're sleeping. If you're not making money while you're sleeping, it's going to be very hard for you to be a millionaire.
Dreaming of being a millionaire, right?
Exactly.
Could you also talk about the importance, not only in real estate, but just being financially disciplined in general? You just talk about the importance of cash versus credit.
Now, this is the thing. What I've learned is this with discipline, and I'm going to tell everyone this. You have to, as you start to save your money, because if you go back to when I was saying you act like you're paying yourself and you save your rent like $1,000 a month to the side, you have to have discipline. And, the only way you can save money is to live below your means. That's the only way to save money. If every month you don't have more money than you had the month before, you're living above your means. And if every month you're saving money, you're living below your means. So you want to try to live as low as possible below your means without not living, a quality life. You don't want to be, I'm going to live in the dark, with no DTE because I want to save my money. You still want to have a quality life, but you just want to make sure that, you're saving something,
Yeah, prioritize.
Exactly. Now, what you have to do as you start to save, because after you start to save, you start to go into different financial brackets that you're going to be introduced to. And you know, the first time you say your first 10 grand, and you look and see your bank account like, wow, I got $10,000. You gonna have discipline. You gotta have discipline to know. Don't run out and just go buy a new car. Don't run out and go buy, a Louis Vuitton purse for your girlfriend, things like that. You have to learn how to love the fact that what you could do. You gotta love the power that you possess. That if I wanted to, I could go buy my girlfriend a Chanel purse. I could go buy me, that car I see on the car lot for 10,000. And as you grow, you gonna see more and more things that you could buy. And you look in your bank account, you got 25,000, you got 50,000, you got 100,000. As you keep growing, you got to keep having discipline because the more it grows, the more things presents itself that you can actually buy, and you gotta have the what's the word I'm looking for? You gotta have the restraint. You gotta have the restraint to know I'm not about to run out and go buy a Bentley so I can show off to everybody like, oh, I got a Bentley, I got a Bentley. But I'm gonna feel confident and feel good knowing that if I wanted to, I could go to the Bentley lot and buy a Bentley right now. Yep. How much it? Give it to me. You know what I'm saying? But that I'm not gonna do that because that's a depreciating asset. Once I drive it off the car lot, it's at 30% of value just drop. Boom. I left it, in the car lot driveway, 30%. And for every mile I tack on, more and more of the money is just getting thrown away. So why do that? To impress who? You know. So what you have to do is just be confident and find the happiness as you save and you go and get in higher tax brackets and you look in your bank account and you see more and more money. You have to find the comforting and knowing what you can do, but not actually doing everything. And what I say is this. This is what advice I tell my gentleman club people. I say, as you grow, this is how you know if you can actually afford something or not. You gotta look at the analogy like this. As you have money, when you have $5, the board of life green dots pop up. You could go buy you a hot and ready pizza if you want. You could go get you a McDonald's burger if you want. You can go get you a candy bar if you want. It's things you could go do. But you want to save that $5. Then guess what? When you save and you look up, you got $20. More things light up. You could go buy a video game now if you want. You could go buy a t-shirt if you want. And along with them saying pizzas and candy bars, you can buy all that stuff too. Then you have $50, more things light up. Now you could go buy a skateboard if you want. You could go buy, a helmet, a new basketball, more things like that. Then you got $100, more things in life light up. And then when you get to you got $1,000, more things in life light up. So when you get to when you got 10,000, so many things light up. If you want to take a trip to Jamaica, you can now. That's an option. If you want to, buy you a car, that's an option now. Then when you get to having 50,000, if you want to go buy a house, that's an option. It's lit up now. If you want to go buy, take a trip to Africa, it's lit up. You get to 100,000. The board life, everything's keep lighting. The more money you get up, the more options you have. It's more lights that's green where you can actually push this button. I tell them this is how you know if you go for something or not. If you push any button and it makes all the other green lights go out, you can't afford that. So if you push that button and it take away so many green lights, you can't afford that. So if you had $10,000 and it's a car, you really want this Mustang. Oh man, it's only 3 years old and they want 10,000 for it. It's drop top. It's 10,000. I got 10,000. But you give them that 10,000, you can't buy a hot and ready pizza no more. You done just took out all the trips to Africa. You done just took out all them green lights.
You put all your equity into one thing.
Exactly. You can't afford that car. Exactly. So that means you can't afford that car. But now,
working a plant job for a while. Like I remember when, as I quit my job in December, but I remember some years back when we first was getting out a couple of raises, right? And people was going out and getting new cars. You feel me? And I had my little shooter still or whatever. They joking on me, but an older cat pulled me to the side. I've always had great relationships with older people and I always took heed to them. And people just always come to me to talk anyway. And he said, yo, young blood, I see you, I see you in your car, it's all good. The stupidest thing a nigga can do is go and buy a new car. Especially working here. If you can't buy that car outright, what you buying it for?
True.
And what you just said right now, just like an epiphany moment, like people put value on things that aren't valuable.
Exactly.
And then when things get tight or it gets rough, they sell your car. Don't nobody want that car.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can't get the value out of it that you once purchased it for because it appreciated, like you said, as soon as you get it off the lot, as soon as you got to change the tires or something go out, like it just keeps depreciating, And I think people just need to value themselves so that they can see the value in assets. They can see the value in ownership and entrepreneurship. And I think a lot of these things, and I'm sure you can attest to this, it really starts with your mindset. It really starts with the way you think, the way you behave, your habits, your rituals, the things your day to day, how you move. That goes along with the business practice. That goes along with the real estate. That goes along with, flipping online businesses. It's all about how you carry yourself, and on top of that, your perspective on what you value.
Very true. Very true.
And can you also talk about um, as a first time home buyer, what should you look for when buying a home? Buying your first home outright instead of renting, like you just alluded to earlier. What should a first home buyer be looking for in terms not only just the property, but the real estate company, the agent, etc.
Okay. If you're a first time home buyer, you want to get a real estate agent, to work with you. And before you get a real estate agent to work with you, you need to one go and get pre-approved if you're doing financing, and that's go to your bank, your credit union, or someone, and you got like your bank and your credit union or someone, and let them approve you and say how much they want to loan you. And if you're not doing that route, you're paying cash, you need to know how much cash you have, and if you actually have enough cash as you purchase a home. So after you have that, you go to a realtor or a real estate agent, and you tell them, I have this amount of cash, I want to buy a home, or I have this pre-approval, I want to buy a home. After you have a real estate agent, the best advice I could tell you is, because this is your first home, so you want to make the best bang for your buck. You want to find the best neighborhood you possibly can, and get the worst house in that neighborhood, because you could fix up the house, you can't fix up the whole neighborhood. See, a lot of times people like finding the best house, and they'll take the best house in the not the best neighborhood. And when the market goes up, the best neighborhoods values go up higher than a neighborhood that's not the best. So this house might be nice. So for give you a quick example, when you a first time home buyer, this home, let's say you got 50,000, you approved 50,000, or you got 50,000 cash.
Okay.
This house is move-in ready, needs nothing. You can move in it, but this neighborhood is it's not that great. But you have to do nothing. But it's another neighborhood. It's a good neighborhood, and this house is 50 grand. But you got to go in and paint. You got to put pipes in there. You need a furnace. You need a hot water tank. You got a couple of holes in the wall. You got a patch with drywall. I would recommend you buy that house number two, because when you buy the house number two, after you fix those things up, you know, your home is going to be worth way more than house number one. And when the market steadily rise, that house number two is going to rise way higher than that house number one, making your equity, making you way more money. So when you come time to you want to sell, that house number one, if the real estate went up, house number one, your realtor saying, oh yeah, I could get you 85,000. You just made 35 grand. House number two, your realtor saying, hey, I could get you 185. You see, it's a big difference. A big difference, and I've seen this happen. It didn't happen to me with property I've had.
Okay.
Well, I've seen properties in my portfolio I bought, and I say, wow, this one only went up this amount, this one went up way this amount, And so I say, okay, that's what you got to do. Don't go for the just the house. Go for the neighborhood first. Buy the neighborhood first. The house second. So I would tell them to when they looking for to buy their home, look at the neighborhoods and ask your real estate agent what neighborhoods do they feel have the highest potential of growth and value when the market goes up or appreciates in value, and go with that house.
Wow, what a gem, man. That the irony in that you're looking for a house when you really should be looking at the value of the neighborhood, the value of the community.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's important, man. A lot of us don't have this knowledge or don't really know. Thank God for the internet now, where we can, go and search for the things we want to be aware about and utilize that to the best of our abilities. There's really no excuse not to know anything or learn anything or get in touch touch with somebody who can teach you something in regards to that lane. And what you giving me now, man, is just a lot of game because, like I was, referring to earlier, a lot of millennials are coming from families where, home ownership, even how to go and rent a house, how to fill out a form to put deposits down. Nobody know these processes. No one is aware of how to own or how to get things and attain things. So I think it's very important the work that you're doing, not only the author of that book, but you're putting that same value, right? You're building value within not only your company, right? Big or small, it doesn't matter. It's all about your efficiency. And you teaching the young men and the young women in your program that, hey, right? You wanna add value to your life. Get knowledge and add value. Get around people who add value.
Very
Get
true.
around people who can teach you something so that when you get taught it, you can teach it to your comrade. You can teach it to your brother and sister, just like your sister took you up under her wing after she seen you struggle and try to stay afloat. She said, hey, let me teach you something. It may not pay a little bit, but take a chance with me and I'll give you the game. And you soaked it up, right? You went and found another mentor. You went and took a chance on yourself because you said, hey, I'm not looking at right now. I'm
Exactly.
looking at 5 to 10 years from now. That's very important when it comes to us wanting to build legacy and us wanting to sacrifice to get to the next level. It's all about patience, persistence, and adding value, not only about what you're putting your energy and your time into, but who you're around and what you put in your leisure time, the leisure energy into as well. Because we all know our vices, our hobbies, the extras can really be a detriment to the longevity of our successes. So before we go ahead and wrap up, could you talk about landlord responsibilities versus tenant responsibilities in regards to renting out a home or owning a home?
Okay. So, tenant responsibilities, when renting a property, it'll be in their lease. In their lease, it will state the tenant has to typically, it will state the tenant has to cut the grass, shovel the snow, keep the home, clean. Don't do anything to the property that changes the structural of the home without the owner's consent. So you can't go in knocking down walls and I want the kitchen bigger. You can't do that. You know, if, typically that's in like 99% of leases. But it's the tenant's job to maintain the home as if it was their own. You can't just not cut the grass, not shovel the snow because that's a liability for the landlord. If you ain't shoveling snow, someone slips and fall, they can sue the owner. So those are tenant responsibilities is to maintain the overall home, condition. Now the landlord's responsibility is to maintain all the structural conditions of the home. Meaning make sure that the water is working. Tenants say a pipe bust, you need to go fix that pipe and make sure the pipes are working. If the furnace went out, you need to come in and fix that furnace or install a new furnace. The hot water tank went out. The landlord needs to go put a new hot water tank in there or fix the hot water tank so the tenant could have water. If it's the roof is old and there's a hole in the roof and water's coming in from rain, landlord needs to repair the roof. So it's not water's coming in. Everything structurally in the home that the things the tenant can't do. If it's ever a problem with that, it's the landlord problem to actually fix it. As well as it's landlord responsibility to pay for the taxes on the property, the yearly taxes, the insurance on the property. Back to the tenant real fast. The tenant has to have what you call renter insurance. So if anything happens to the property, let's say it's a fire, all their personal belongings will be insured, and a insurance company will cut them a check for it. The landlord got to have insurance, so if it's a fire, the insurance company cut the landlord a check to fix the structural of the home. Put a new roof on it, new windows, whatever the case. If the home is brick and the home is vinyl siding and it's burned down to the ground, then they'll literally get a real estate agent to go out and say how much, do a BPO, a broker price opinion, or how much they feel the home was worth, and they cut them a check for that amount. So those are, for the most part, the responsibilities of the landlord and the tenant.
Yeah, a lot of knowledge, man. A lot of knowledge today. Before we go ahead and end, could you just go ahead and shout out your social media, the name of
Yes. Once again, I'm Nissan Robinson, the real estate expert. I'm on YouTube with Nissan Robinson is spelled Nesahn Robinson Robinson. Nissan Robinson, and I'm on Instagram Nissan Robinson, and those only the two platforms I have. For I got my book is called Save Room for Real Estate: A Guide to Making Millions in the Real Estate Industry. You could get that on BarnesandNobles.com, but you really could get it on any because the deal I have with the manufacturer is linked with everybody. So you could go on Target.com, Walmart, all that, and type in "Save Room for Real Estate: A Guide to Making Millions," and it pop up and you can buy it. I would say to go to Barnes and Nobles because they have it the cheapest for sale for the $9.99 that we suggested. If you go to Walmart and Target, they'll be there. You can buy it online, but it'll be for a higher amount, like $13.99, $14.99, different prices. So if you want the cheapest, do that. And I do the Gentleman Club for those who have young kids that wants to be mentored. You can reach me at Reach Realty Group. Give me a call, and I can add in slots. I typically every year try to add in no more than 10, only because I gotta keep finding bigger and bigger places for us to have. As we keep growing, I can't just instantly have 4,000 kids. I don't have a place for 4,000 kids. Right now.
Right.
So I gotta add in kids slowly. But for those who do want to apply, they can call 248-395-6885 or at Reach Realty Group and ask to speak to Mr. Robinson, and I can educate them on how many slots I have available.
Yes, sir, Mr. Robinson. I appreciate your time, your knowledge, man, or just the assets of knowledge, because that the true wealth lies not only with you as an individual and us as individuals, but with our community, with our families. We have to find out what brings us equity, what brings us, tangible, passive income, etc. Just things of that nature, man. I really appreciate everything you just gave us today because we need to inspire the youth to be better. We need different images of our people. We need better characters of people to come back into these neighborhoods and teach us things and make us aware. Even if they don't attain certain things, at least they were aware of it to attain it. So once again, Mr. Robinson, I appreciate everything you've done for the podcast today, for the audience, and I look forward to building with you offline as well, getting some content information, man, chopping it up, how to get into that book game and even into the real estate industry.
Absolutely.
And doing some ins and outs. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate everything, man. Thank you for being a great guest today.
My pleasure. You have a good one, bro. All right, so just finished up the podcast. Hopefully, all his listeners learn a lot about real estate and could be successful in real estate, and because that's truly the avenue to go if you want financial freedom, if you really seeking to be a millionaire. And I just want to be a beacon of hope and help people. So any way I can help, I'm going full throttle and to help people. That's what I'm just trying to do to help. All right.